Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 132 of the Titanforge podcast. I'm Dratnos, joined by Tettles and Trell. And this week, our special guest is Bastu from, I guess, formerly of the Guild Pieces. So, hello. And I guess for those who haven't heard, the sad news, Pieces, the Guild, the Race World First contender, World First Unot, World Top 5, most tiers going back as far as I remember, has disbanded this week. So we thought to do justice to that, it would be good to have somebody from the guild on. What was your role in Pieces? What did you do there, and how long have you been with the guild?
So how long have I been there? I joined on Battle Zarlaw Farm. So my first raid tier as a trial was Crucible of Storms.
Pretty good
So
first
I was
tier.
kind of dropped in it. Yeah, I was kind of dropped straight into the deep end after raiding in a 2-day guild and another guild. What I did was kind of anything that you could, write as organization. I basically had a hand in that. So anything sheets and stuff like that. And then closer to the end, I had a lot of, I ran the production. Oh well, I organized the production and how it worked for the broadcast. Like getting casters and stuff like that. While still doing the in-game organization and whatnot. I used to do a lot more split stuff, but the last 2 tiers we had Pancake. We did a lot of that. Yeah, it's just general like logistics, organization stuff. I was previously a raider. I raided up until Castle Nathria, where I played Enhance. This was before Enhance was deemed OP.
Yeah.
So messed up.
Yeah. And that's basically my jobs or ex-jobs in Pieces in a nutshell. So, yeah.
All right, so I guess do we want to start by talking about the history of the guild, or do we want to just ask the big question in the room, which is why'd you guys disband?
Why did we disband? Okay, so there's a lot of factors, right? I think the biggest one is, just to speak kind of about how the guild was run was so since the start, Lummel founded the guild back in 2010. Many years ago, basically out of trade chat. And so he has been the backbone in the guild for the past 12 years. And as such, with the last few tiers and the turnover that we've been through, and a few other bits and bobs, Lummel was ultimately the one that decided to throw in the towel. And I don't think anyone would want to continue the guild without him. There's a lot of factors that go into what made him realize that it wasn't really worth the effort anymore. The biggest one, which I've already mentioned, is the turnover. I have a screenshot regarding that, which I will put in the Twitch chat, maybe for some art. Am I going to get time down?
No.
So turnover is something that was definitely a really big problem for us. So just to give you some perspective, our Unat roster, this is just for the last kill, so obviously there's a lot more people that I'll mention here because it's only 20 people I can talk about. 65% of our Unat roster is gone. 75% of our Ashara roster is gone. The Zoth roster, 50% are gone. Sire, 65%. Sylvanas even, which is, only last year, 50% of the roster was gone. And for the jailer already, 4 people have left or quit or whatever, with more who are definitely looking elsewhere.
So how does that compare to like other RWF guilds that are in the space, like Echo, like Liquid, like Method?
I'm not really sure about Method. I've only ever really kept tabs a lot on Liquid and Echo. A lot of... So for Echo, for example, I don't really think they've had many people leave. In general, when they have roster turnover, it's more like them demoting someone Obviously, you know, some guilds have had a few people quit, but it's definitely not to the same scale. And I think it's similar to Liquid. Yeah, the turnover rate in pieces was definitely a lot higher than Echo and Liquid, obviously, but that's just the nature of being, you know, effectively seen as the third place guild for, I don't know, 5 raid tiers in a row or something, 4 raid tiers in a row. So, yeah. Going into this tier, we of the whole roster, which is, you know, like 30 to 40 people, 50% of the roster was a trial. And it was very similar on Sylvanas as well.
I mean, that is just nuts. And you can, if you guys can see the spreadsheet that he has up, all the check boxes are the trials for each raid boss up at the top at the end tier of each raid, or the end boss of each tier. Sorry. And
so
that is
more
just
than half
crazy
of
to have,
Desire.
like, half of the comp being trials.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's rough having to deal with that, obviously. I think for Lamoy, it's especially Lamoy is definitely someone who would kind of nurture players from when they joined, and you know he was basically in the position where he was like, you know, nurturing players, building them up, trying to help them improve in like various ways, and then quitting wasn't so bad, but it's more the people that, you know, jump ship. I mean, it's like 7 or 8 of 8 players or 7 players went to Echo, and 3 went to Liquid, and 2 to Method. You know, it's not something that's super easy, especially when in the Race for First Guild everyone's super close. You build pretty decent relationships. To have that high turnover is incredibly emotionally taxing, right?
Yeah, it's got to feel like building a sandcastle on the beach, right? And then just the tide washes it away at the end of every tier, and you got to build again.
It's so interesting too, because like the pieces first came on my radar, and like Uldir and like Battle to Zarler, whenever they got both like 2 back-to-back top 5 performances, just raiding like evenings only. Like it was like 6 or 7 days a week, but but it's like evening raid schedule.
It's like Fat Shark Yes schedule
for the time.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the way it was always described as me is Pieces is this guild that has 25 to 30 people on the roster, and then like 10 people who could come back any tier and just raid as well. Yeah. And it was just like always that kind of guild. And then seeing it go from that to just like a lot of turnover, a lot of turmoil, a revolving door of a roster, it going from like the evening rating schedule to that is like, holy moly, it really is so volatile at the top end.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I mean, when towards the end of BFA is when, you know, the turnover began. I mean, it wasn't, well, not even that, it's more Shadowlands. I mean, even if you look at N'Zoth, right, it was like only 4 trials on N'Zoth, and 2 on Ashara, and 4 on Unat. I mean, before then, as you mentioned, you know, there was a very core roster of players that hadn't really changed that much. And that's a lot easier to have when you're an evening guild, right? Race well first is very life consuming. During the race, you can't do anything else, right? You can't have a job during the race. These things don't work like that. And yeah, I mean, it's rough. I think Pieces before the Race well first, I mean, Pieces was definitely an incredible guild. They in Battle for Zara Law, this was before I raided with them, they beat Method to killing Mechatalk. I think.
Holy shit, I remember that. Yeah, because that was the first day that that was the first time that Pieces ever day raided, and they day raided that Tuesday or whatever because they really wanted to.
Yeah, there was the Wednesday obviously for the EU people, and Pieces beat Method on Mechatalk, and people were going nuts.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, they couldn't believe it.
It's not like one of the first 3 bosses. That's like a legit hard near the end boss too.
To be fair, that's great. Method at the time did a little trolling on that particular boss.
Yeah, I mean,
let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean that was definitely they had some interesting tactics for that boss. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, nonetheless, again, it's not even tooting my own horn, right? I wasn't in the guild then, so. But yeah, it was definitely very impressive.
Yeah, so I guess the turnover aspect, I feel like that's got to be a big problem, not just for Pieces, but just for like every guild in that 3 through 10 spot, especially any of them that like are day rating, right? And are like going that hard, right? Going Race to World first schedule. It's like any player on your roster that's good is such a huge risk of just being yoinked by by Liquid or Echo. So I don't know how much this is affecting Methods, BDGG, those sorts of guilds as well. But I imagine it's got to be rough all over the place too.
Yeah, it can't be that different, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I assume people are in the same position. But something that isn't really talked about a lot is there's a lot of reasons for the turnover. And there's something, we haven't really talked about here yet, is that I mean, you look at the top two guilds and in Liquid and Echo, and Method to a certain extent because they've had like this org backing for many years. They're very well established, and that's compensation, right? That's having the ability to like compensate raiders to be able to take time off work and to make it so that they're not losing livelihood and stuff while doing these races is very important. And why that was definitely improving for us. I mean, SK picked us up, and that was definitely massive for us. It definitely makes a difference to be at the top for that bit. I know for Echo and Liquid, it's vastly different to everyone else, as an example. But yeah, and obviously winning. Winning makes you want to continue, right? I mean, Echo has won the last two races, and Liquid the two previous to that, right? So, and that gives you far more motivation than anything else. Especially, if you're in the race war first, it's because you're naturally competitive, right? I mean, that goes without saying.
So,
Sure.
what's it actually been like at the high end? Just seeing all of these newly formed guilds like committing to such long hours of like day raiding multiple days, because like back in Battle of Dazarlo, whenever pieces decided to day raid one day, it was like it was like that was like pretty uncommon, but still not relatively unheard of. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna day raid one day, the first Tuesday.
Yeah.
But now it
was
seems
nuts.
like, dude, people are day raiding like full weeks. Even guilds that are like World 20th will just like day raid the first full week and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's actually because I don't think that's specific to the race to World First. It's not like they're competing for first. So something when I raided it in Battle with Zolon, one of the guilds I raided in was Wiping as intended, and we, I believe, were World 20th. I'm going to check it, and we were a 5-day guild, right? How many 5-day guilds do you think are in the top 20 now?
3.
Maybe it was
3, maybe.
Let's see, 3. You believe that?
In the top 20?
Yeah.
Okay, no, I've just pulled up Raider.io and it is approximately fucking 0.
Yeah, I think it might have been Audio, by the way, that we were top 20. I'm not sure. It was one of those tiers. But the point is, right, and there was other guilds around us that were similar. Every single guild has upped their hours. I mean, well, okay, not every single guild, but most guilds, if you compare to Audio and previous to that and just after to that, most guilds have definitely upped their hours. I mean, it started definitely in Battle Zaralor when there was I'm sure you remember there was multiple Twitter accounts called the Overtime Police. And
yeah.
I've never been
started like ratting.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
That Twitter account came from a guy in my guild Encore at the time.
Yeah, can it stack?
Yeah, my guild was the target of that one quite a bit.
Who knows who ran the E1? I would have absolutely no idea. Certainly wasn't me. But yeah, I mean that tier like Battle Zaralor is when people started to like overtime in order to compete, and it felt like maybe an arms race is the wrong word, but it was like everyone was trying to rush to add on more and more and more hours to compete, and then because of that, everyone else had to do it, and it kind of didn't stop until you have everyone in the top 20 day rating.
I mean, this may be some tinfoil, but I'm sure that COVID didn't necessarily
of course
with that, where it's just like people have a lot more time available as well, so then they're going to commit more time to like playing WoW and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I think people have, in general, the tiers have become shorter, I would like to say, compared to... Okay, this tier is obviously completely different. I mean, this tier doesn't count at all. But I think in general, I mean, when you compare it to like Legion, when you have KJ, where this tier lasted months and months and months for a lot of guilds. I think day raiding became more maybe I'm not sure if accessible, but if you day raided, you could at least definitely you'd be like, okay, I'll definitely be able to finish within 3 weeks, right? That's probably realistic for most guilds that day raid.
Sylvanas was just such a great example of that, right? It was just we can sprint through this, right? And nobody's gonna lose their job. Anybody can day raid this tier, right? It's obviously not anybody, but a lot more people than could day raid a 4-week or a 6-week tier.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely makes a difference. So
yeah, I definitely think that arms race mentality, it's definitely in the race to world first, but also in the race to world 20th and also in the race to world 50th. All of those are more hours than they used to be.
Another great example of that was another guild I used to raid in, which was Group Therapy, which was for years. I mean, maybe I'm not sure, how well it was known about on American servers, but in EU, Group Therapy was known as the best 2-day guild, for years and years and years. 2 days and always in the top 100, or always at least competing. And it got to the point where, in one of the last tiers the Group Therapy raided, they had to add a 3rd day to be able to even compete for top 150, because everyone above them, literally there was no 2-day guilds in sight at all. No 3-day guilds. I mean, even 3-day guilds are extremely rare nowadays.
Dude, the 16-hour raid bracket, that shit is dead. Either you're raiding 20 to 24 hours a week because you've decided that it's worth your time to really either push for Hall of Fame, push for top 50 world, or you decided that you're just going to continue to raid 9 hours and just be happy with your world 150th, like you were talking about with Group Therapy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Group Therapy was definitely killed by everyone adding more hours. I mean, Group Therapy is dead right now, right?
Yeah.
It's very sad. But, I mean, it's definitely nuts how many guilds have just added more and more and more hours.
Now,
Jarnos, what do you think about that?
My guild cut hours. We didn't day raid this tier. We day raided the 3 previous tiers. We were just out here vibing, having a good time. We did. We unironically cut hours this year.
Culture was like a 4-day guild.
Yeah, we added hours in Nyalotha, and then we cut them this tier. This tier we just played good.
Parse Culture was a 12-hour guild for a long time.
Well, we overtimed a lot though. we were raiding in the middle of the night when the overtime police were asleep. We could get away with it.
But yeah, I mean, it's so weird to just see it's not even just in the Race to World First thing, but it's there are a ton of guilds that are just in the world top 50 that now raid. They'll day raid the first day of the tier coming out. That's not really common. And then they'll raid 7 days the first week. That's also really, really common. And then it's just in some extended schedule, it's well, everybody can be around, so we may as well raid today. Which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just so interesting to see how the Race to World First has ramped up and gotten extremely more competitive, but also the top 100 is just insanely more competitive too.
So this arms race escalation thing, I know a lot of guilds have died even in the last week, right? Intern killed this boss, Dino Nuggies, right? A lot of guilds are, at least that I know of, and I'm sure there are others in regions I'm less familiar with, besides Pieces, of course, that have called it off. One narrative I've seen on Reddit is that the length of Sepulcher as a tier was the culprit for this. How much do you think that, at least for Pieces, that's the one that you can speak to most effectively, you cited that there were multiple reasons, right, for the guild going down. How much do you attribute to, was that not at all the thing? Was Sepulcher's length not at all important? Was it just something that was the straw that broke the camel's back? Or was it actually a big part of it?
I think it was one of the straws previous to the one that broke the camel's back. I don't think it was very... I mean, it definitely played some part, but I don't think it was very big, at least for Pieces. I think what it did was, for some people, it highlighted to themselves, it's okay, do I have the willpower to do this again in the future if Blizzard does this? Because, I can't remember how long we raided. We were in the 3rd week, right? It was 14, it was probably around 20 days we raided, something like that, I guess. I can't really remember. But if you are in this race to our first position, right, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, it's not likely that it'll be this long again, but what if it is? Like, am I going to have to do this again? Sure. In that sense, it will definitely, affect people's like mental and willingness to stay in the race for first. But I don't think it was a massive percent of why the guild disbanded. Maybe it is for other guilds. You said was it intern that died?
Yeah.
Had they killed Jailer?
Yeah. Yeah.
What was the schedule like? Sorry, I don't raid in NBC, so
They raid every day.
I know,
Yeah,
I don't
they
know a
raid a
ton
lot.
about them, but I know they ramped up hours, and like my thoughts on it is that they probably overreached how much they could raid as a guild over time, and I could be totally wrong, but I feel like over the last couple tiers they've ramped up too hard for the schedules of their raiders.
Yeah, I mean, when you start ramping up repeatedly, and I think if you're a guild like that that's kind of ramping up hours, and then suddenly you're put in this position where you have to ramp up hours, and the length of the race is like doubled, I mean, then sure, it could probably play a very large part. I don't think it would make much of a difference for your average guild. When I say average, I mean like 3-4 day guild.
Right, the like cutting edge,
but
not like not trying to finish in the first month or two. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially, for these 3-4 day guilds, a lot of the time, like when they reach a lot of the bosses, I mean, look at Halondrus. Halondrus, got killed, basically.
Yeah, it's gutted.
Holy shit. With that boss, man.
When people reach that boss, it's very different. So, yeah.
I was
It's hard
surprised
to
they
tell.
didn't
I
nerf
think
that sooner. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we were suggesting it in our. So we had a race war first Discord this time, and Halondrus, like nerfing Halondrus, is definitely one of the suggestions for a lot of the people in there. I mean, there was a lot of variation.
Look at that graph.
Yeah, you could see
That's
right where
nuts.
they nerfed it.
Yeah.
What day do you think they nerfed that boss?
Yeah. But then now Anduin is the new brick wall. There's all the guilds that were wiping on Halondra's pre-nerf for walled on Anduin. So I don't know. It's just a really hard tier. There were a lot of really hard bosses this tier. But yeah. I
mean,
do
it
tend
was,
to think
it was
that it's
crazy.
like, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think it's like a minor part of the, like, unless this is the new normal, I think this was mostly just like maybe some guilds that would have died next tier died this tier as a result of it being like this, but it's probably mostly like structural long-term things that are causing guilds to go down.
Yeah, I mean, what the length of this tier definitely did was, it gave anyone who wanted to leave a guild, it gave them a very good excuse to do it. I think that's something that a lot of people will just be like, oh yeah, this tier was so long, like, when in reality, I mean, they were just looking for any reason to leave. But yeah, I mean, I wonder how many from intern felt like that. It's impossible to tell, but yeah.
All right, so
I think there's definitely a big possibility there, but yeah, sorry, go ahead, Dronos.
No, I'm just trying to figure out where to go next. So I guess we sort of briefly touched on it right at the start, right? Obviously the pieces kind of big story, right? It was Battle of Zarlor, the 1 day raid, and then Una. You showed up all of a sudden, goes from world third to world first.
Yeah, it was on me. What can I say?
New world first guild, Method Killers.
Yeah.
So
I guess
was
just
a wild experience.
Tell us the story. Yeah.
Una was. I mean, I don't know. That raid tier was nuts. I mean, so the first day, that Crucible was definitely a raid tier where the gateway to entry was a lot lower, like significantly lower, because there was no splits. I mean, you could split for some of the random gear in Crucible, but it wasn't really relevant. Everyone was already kind of fully decked out in Battle of Zarlor gear, so you didn't really have to have this kind of structure to be able to do splits and stuff and whatnot going into it. So all we did in Heroic Week was we spent the last 3 days just spam killing the only 2 bosses on Heroic.
Just for practice.
And we did, we just, we tested absolutely everything we could. We thought, okay, this is our one chance to be able to do something good, we might as well try it. It was in May, I think, or April, so it was like decent time for people who were on holiday between like semesters of university in Europe and stuff like that. So it was like a pretty good opportunity, right? And we came out swinging, right? We killed Cabal. I don't know, after like 6, 7, 8 hours, something like that. And the next kill, like Method didn't kill it till the day after, right? And at that point, we had only, I think at the start, we'd probably only planned on doing like a few days of day raiding just to kind of see how we could do. But when we were that far ahead from the first boss, it definitely got kicked into overdrive. Everyone was, hyped up to try and see what we could do. And then we had our first experience of, what the struggles were of the guild that was first. The ads, I'm not sure if you remember Unat, but the ads would spam heal. They were unkillable, even if you use the crown. And so we were chain running into this and other bugs. There was also the pixel strat, which, we tested and...
Holy shit.
I remember the pixel strat, yeah.
What's we had a video where we sent this video to Blizzard and it actually got leaked from Blizzard to Method somehow.
I remember, holy shit, I forgot about that. I forgot about that lore. Holy
so yeah, we the systems and the communications with Blizzard now is very, very different, right? But so what you could do was everyone could stack on one place, and you stack all the relics, stack everyone on top of each other, and then everything would just it would be as if you handed it in. Everything would the mechanic would clear. So we recorded ourselves.
Oh wow, that's
we did this. Yeah, we did this strat, and we recorded ourselves, and we sent it to Blizzard, and we were like, okay, this is obviously not okay. It only worked because they did a fix to make it. What was happening was the relics were exploding too fast or something. So they added a small delay of half a second. So we sent this video to Blizzard, okay, you need to fix this. And then an hour and a half later, we're looking at Big Methods go stream, and it's I think I've seen this YouTube video before, and it's just us all running together and standing on top of each other. And obviously, Method are there oh, these guys are clearly exploiting. I can't believe they're doing it.
Oh my God.
And then the race went on from there. We had a few people that had to drop out because of work and other bits and bobs. We weren't really prepared to day raid for more than 3 days. So for us, it would have been Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which are work days of day raiding, and then Saturday, Sunday, and that's easy to do. And then Monday is where we kind of had to start reducing it a bit. Some days we would start at 12, some days we would start a bit later, some days we would start in the morning. It varied. Method got awful close with their 16 Warlock strat. That's the most exhilarating I've ever felt in a while. It was the complete underdog story.
How did that set you guys up expectation-wise for tiers moving into the future? Because I remember the narrative going into Eternal Palace is can pieces get world first again.
Yeah, we definitely didn't. We were world sixth or something. We definitely
the 5 Ellie shamans were real good on Unat, not so good on Queen Ajara.
No, but I'm probably not allowed to curse on this, otherwise I would. But we got scammed.
Go ahead.
We got fucking scammed. Okay?
Oh my God,
this was so bullshit. We on testing, you could remove the debuff with Ankh. You could just die in Ankh, and then it worked for Heroic Week, and then it got fixed or something. I can't remember exactly, but either way, we got scammed to the point where we had full belief that this would work on Mythic, and then it didn't, and our comp kind of fell flat. We killed the boss. Oh, there it was. Okay, clicks actually. It just didn't work on Mythic. It worked on Heroic, and it just didn't work on Mythic.
Pain.
We thought we were okay, stacking Ellie Shamans 2 tiers in a row. Surely this is going to work. Surely they won't have learned, and they did, and it didn't work on Mythic. And it was also there was various other things. It was most people's first time at a LAN event. and 90% of the roster got very sick. I mean, most people had like a day or 2 days where they just didn't come to the event because they were stuck in their hotel room.
I heard there was something that happened to your eye as well.
Yeah.
There's a
something
fly
did
or
happen to
something.
me. Skype, I've heard that Skype, put some bad tech in the Red Bull studios after their tier, the previous tier, and
left some booby traps. Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, that was. I mean, I enjoyed the tier. It was definitely. I mean, the tier itself wasn't that fun, but like the experience of meeting everyone. It was like the biggest. It was the first like big Race to World First event for any guild, right? I mean, like Method before that had done one, but it was only a few people, and like it was max like 7 or something. But, we had all of Limit and all of Pieces basically in like one room in a heat wave in the middle of London in summer. It was wild. It was definitely fun though. But yeah, the placement wasn't so fun. So
for people who don't know, who have never been to the Red Bull Gaming Sphere, I was very shocked that you were able to fit that many people there.
Yes,
even
so
still,
was
I don't know how.
Yeah, it was definitely a tight fit. I mean, so another thing that was very bullshit. This was some pure favoritism, right? So the Limit side of the room had the like inbuilt aircon system. It was wonderful. It was so nice and chilly over on their side. You could go over there. THD would be sitting right underneath it, having a wonderful time. And then our side, my God, it was the hottest room I have ever been in my life.
Well, if you knew that you didn't know about air conditioning yet. It's well-known fact that air conditioning has not reached Europe. It's a technology only known to North America.
The American side of the room had the air conditioning. We just didn't. But yeah, I mean, it was still a great event. But the fact that they managed to fit, I think it was 17. It was like 34 players in there. 34 computers, plus the casting desk, plus like there was some like extra PCs around the corner for like casters to use and stuff like that. It was wild. It was a lot of people. And it was definitely. I thought it was a very fun event, at least. And Red Bull were really cool for putting it on. So it's a shame they got bullied out by Method.
That was a shame. That actually was a shame. I don't know if more information is ever going to come out on that.
I'm allowed to say this now. Like Method bullied Red Bull out of the Race to World First. So yeah, I mean that's just fact.
Yeah, there was the whole leaking their event thing.
Leaking their event.
I don't think we need to talk about it too much, but holy fuck.
Right, well, we'll skip. We'll just leave that then. I could go on for a while.
What was that exactly? I can't remember. Was that
whenever they bring back BlizzCon, I'll hit you up and we can swap some stories.
Yeah. We can maybe later. But yeah, Red Bull was really cool though. Red Bull treated us and Limit really well. At least I think they treated Limit really well. The event was great, and yeah, I mean, I hope to be able to one day again do something with Red Bull with whatever, because they're a very cool company to work with. So yeah.
So then coming out of Eternal Palace, obviously we get to Ny'alotha, right? And now it's Complexity Limit forming up.
Yeah.
What happened for Pieces during the lead up and that tier itself?
That was an interesting tier. That was the first time that we had proper degenerate splits. I remember organizing them and having to, because that was Azerite, right? Yeah. And I remember having to, I would make a plate group, and we would have to go kill Raden first. We would have to kill Raden 7 times and use coins 7 times or something to get one piece of Azerite, and then go kill another boss. So that was our first real experience
from the second boss you kill. Yeah.
So basically, you're banking on the fact that the person loots it with a coin or whatever, and then re-loots the same item on a boss that's tradable. And that was our kind of first real experience of proper Race to World First, I would say. Like that is, that tier was kind of close to how it is now, I would say. And Ny'alotha, I think we were doing okay. We fell behind a little bit on Raden. Our Elbinoff could have been faster. I mean, in general, it wasn't that bad. Al-Nazoth was definitely slow.
Mm-hmm.
We killed it a few days after Method at the time. But back then there was less competition for third, right? I mean, fourth was Sushok, yes, I think, who killed it a day or two after us. There wasn't really like an Asian guild that was competing super highly or anything like that. And Ny'alotha was pretty good. And then after Ny'alotha, 4 members went to Echo, or Method, as they were then. So after Narzoth, Rising Klaus, Scaris, Klix went to Echo. And that, like, after Ny'alotha is where, the large turnover rate started to kick in. That's, I wouldn't say it's the downfall of pieces. I don't think that's fair to say, but I think it was definitely where it started to become harder to retain the roster that we would want, to have for all these bosses.
Did the sales and like the gold spent, because Ny'alotha was also the first tier because corruption was purchasable on BOEs. Was this also like, I think that started also kind of a new age of Race to World First where guilds are spending hundreds of millions of gold.
That was never really so much a problem for us. That was actually something that we excelled at. I mean, I'm not sure if you saw, I had a mini conversation with Scripe on Twitter like yesterday about kind of how we do gold. I think it's been fairly well known for a while that Pieces was like by far the best guild for gold earning and, the structure of mythic boosting and stuff like that. So our mythic BOEs were really good. We had a lot, and we had gold spread around everywhere, and that was definitely a turning point though. Ny'alotha again, where it stepped up, splits and gold expenditure. Obviously, pumpers, or as we call them, pumpers, traders, weren't really paid for until Side and Atheris-ish, that tier. But yeah, that's when it stepped up again to, going towards where it is now.
Yeah, now we're in this place, right, where it's just like you have the big advertisements of how much gold you can get for doing each kind of trade, and the total gold spend of
I mean, it's a dick measuring contest,
right? That's a lot of gold.
To be frank, yeah. I mean, it's nowadays, right? It's Jesus. The thing is, so this was, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but Pieces was the first guild to start offering this, right? We were the first guild to start offering gold in exchange for items. And again, the only reason we did that was because we weren't able to compete with the reach that the Echo and Liquid have, right? I mean, you watch Gingy stream. He opens LFG, goes, right guys, like, I need 50 hunters to come and trade a bow. And within a minute, he will have 50 hunters. And I mean, that's just, that's just how it is, right? It was a lot easier for them. And if we would do that, if we would open it up, I remember trying it in splits and announcing it on the mainstream and being like, guys, please come and trade us some items. And we got 4 people sign up. And I was just like, okay, this has to change. It can't be like this. It's too hard to get gear. And going into Mythic Week, we were 4 eye levels behind, both Echo and Liquid. I mean, 4 eye levels is too much. They were, I can't remember what eye level was it in. We were 216, and they were 220 or something. I can't remember what the first number is, but it was 4 eye levels.
That's pretty big.
And we realized, we realized, it's this, we can't do this anymore. We have to find a way to be able to compete. And so we thought to ourselves, okay, what are we very good at? Making gold. Let's use that. I mean, I regret it, right? I mean, you look back and now it's just the worst system ever. It's terrible. So awful.
Terrible.
I mean, it's a bit different for Liquid. I think Liquid have it a lot easier. I mean, BDG competes against them, yes, but they definitely don't like put as much gold into it. Whereas Echo had both us and Method. I mean, Method not really, because Method didn't have much gold, but or as much.
Just a casual 480 million gold
480
spent this
mil.
tier.
Yeah. I can't even see this. I can't even see this screenshot. Yeah.
Yeah.
How much should they? Oh, 480 mil. Yeah. And this 480 mil was all like borrowed from boosting communities as well, which is the worst bit.
Yeah, that's how most of the other guilds are doing it, right? Is by like taking out loans with interest and then paying them back during farm.
We had their gold sheet. Like we were thinking to ourselves, like, yeah, we can make these prices because we had a leak of like Method's gold sheet. Because someone who had like used to be in Method like hadn't been removed, and we saw the sheet and it was like, right, okay, let's have a look. 130 mil gold Method has. Okay, we can probably outprice these people. And then I mean they just borrowed it, obviously. I mean,
you can just buy tokens.
Yeah, buy WoW tokens. Yeah, WoW tokens. Sure. Yeah,
that's what they're calling them.
Yeah. But no, I mean I think it's past the point. I think with us gone, it will definitely come down a lot in EU. I don't think Echo and Method are going to be able to compete with each other that much. Echo definitely have more gold and are willing to put more gold in, but we actually came to an agreement with Echo this year to try and match prices because it got to a point where it was just not funny. We were offering like 10 mil gold for like one Rygalon heroic item
to show up.
So what's the point? Yeah.
1 mil for adding us to a friends list.
Yeah, and we'd be like, we started offering like 300k if you could refer someone who would then join one of our runs. Like we would pay you 300k. There was like so many added layers of gold expenditure. And that number actually for us, 670 mil, wasn't even accurate. We've had to recalculate. We've had to add on like another 100 mil of gold spent. We're actually very lucky, right? Because we just spent. Imagine if, so Echo, Liquid, and Method obviously in debt, right? Imagine if one of them had disbanded. These people,
in debt,
these traders would have never got paid. They would be screwed.
You guys weren't in debt. You guys actually were able to pay out everybody. Holy shit!
I mean, we had like little bits of debt in the sense that we would borrow from people, but we would borrow from people on like specific servers, because like the higher pop servers are harder to have more gold on. But I mean the thing is that like I myself have a lot of gold. Pancake has a lot of gold. A lot of people in the guild have like a lot of gold as well, just from boosts we've done in the past. So we were always like chilling basically. So yeah, it's funny when I was part of Galliwix when I first moved to NA, and I actually made gold myself off loaning Limit then gold. So I was in pieces raiding, and I was making gold from the interest that Limit was paying Galliwix back in like I don't know 3 years ago.
That's hilarious.
It's so messed up that they disbanded Galliwix. It was definitely a reputable business.
Yeah, I mean, I only did PvP and I never did any of it. Funny. I was always safe.
Clearly, since you didn't get banned over it.
Yeah, I did get banned once and I got unbanned because they realized. But
yeah, sure,
that was
good.
All right, so
back in years ago, when I was more of a casual player. Well, I'm still pretty casual actually. Never mind. But years ago, I heard something about pieces, and someone said, pieces is the rich guild. They have someone that just buys like hundreds and hundreds of WoW tokens and pours gold into the guild. And I'm sure that's not true, but it's just funny that I remembered hearing that years ago now.
We definitely did not have cash. Like, where do they think that cash would come from?
I have no idea.
Yeah, like when I started pieces. When I started raiding pieces, I was like a student. Like we didn't have any rich benefactor or something. We were just working hard. Like, I mean, through every single raid tier for the past like 5 or 6, we've had 4 splits. We'd raid 2 days a week. 4 full clears, and we would just sell like every single boss basically. So we'd make sure we had 2 mount buyers, so that was 8 mount buyers a week, plus other things we did gold trading for fees.
Mm-hmm.
There's like plenty of things you can you can use to make gold. And yeah, well, I think guilds are definitely getting better. I think there will be less to spend because I think without us in the race, there should be less like need to pump up the prices. But we'll see. I mean, I might be wrong, right? It might Method and Echo might go each other's throat and just try and raise prices. But yeah, I mean, could happen.
So
Or they-
overall, going back to just like why the disband happened, how much do you think can be attributed not to just like the competition being harder, but the fact that the Race to World First is now about this splits and buying helpers and this sort of large character preparation commitment? How much of that change over the past like 3 or 4 years do you think has contributed, or do you think again just not a huge factor?
I'm not sure it is a huge factor because all of these things are very top ended inside the actual guild itself, right? Your average run of the mill raider won't have, they don't have any extra like effort put in to make splits, right?
Yeah, they just
I
need
mean,
like
back
more
if
alts
you-
maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at like a Shah, when was Islands? When
Yeah,
was
all
it
of
really
BFA.
bad Islands too? Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Ajara
I mean,
was
sure,
the one where you
Raiders-
had to like rush for 75
Yeah,
neck.
It was for the blood of the, or not blood of the enemy.
That was
it
60
for,
on week 1, right? For rank 3 Crucible Flame.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The rank 3 Crucible Flame minor.
yeah,
power.
yeah. And like back then, sure, I honestly think back then people probably spent more time actually doing stuff. Like
on
this
their main,
tier, right?
Yeah.
The run up in the patch was chill. It was very chill. Heroic Week was obviously busy, but before that there wasn't really much to do. So yeah, it's definitely changed now. But I think the amount of work that gets put in, like at the top of the guilds, has definitely increased like tenfold. I mean, you take so I'll take Liquid as an example because I have their Discord open. They have like a team of 8 analysts, if you include like weaker devs and stuff like that. All of these people are putting in like loads of time. I mean, it's the same as Echo, right? They have Grim, Just Wait, Scribe, Roger, and probably more I can't think of that are doing like loads of stuff that isn't really specific to just like pressing buttons in the game, and that amount of effort has grown incredible amounts. So that's something that I'm not sure how much that actually affects burnout for raiders. Again, like I haven't been in this position where I haven't done this for a few years, so it's kind of hard to give that point of view. But yeah, I don't think it's. I wouldn't say that the effort required has ramped up a lot for like your generic raider, but I might be wrong.
So maybe a little bit of a weird question, but like, why did you guys decide not to rebuild again?
What's the point? That's
Damn.
it. It's like what why? What is the point? I mean, to be able to win, you need to have this core roster. You need to have a core roster of incredible players that stay with you tier and tier, and improve every tier. And you can take. We had I'll give you an example. We had a healer come in last tier called Crazy, right? He is very, very good at Disc Priest, incredibly good. But it's the guy's first tier in the Race to World First, so there's obviously a lot of things that, it's things like going to bed on time so that you have a good amount of sleep. That stuff like this comes from experience in the Race to World First, and when you have this high turnover, you're never going to be able to get World First. It is not possible. A new guild, you could have 20 of the best 20 of the best pure mechanical players. If they had never done the Race World First before and they came in, they would lose. It's just not possible. So having like this really solid roster like Echo and Liquid does is needed to be able to compete now because of how the race has changed. And while sure we have the ability to rebuild, and we're under we were under SK, which is obviously a great org. there's just a lot of effort that has to be put in to not get first.
Mhm.
So do you think it's
So-
going to kind of push us towards just, I mean, obviously it is effectively a 2-horse race and has been for the past several tiers, but do you think that it's going to stay at either 2 or maybe like 1 per region if we count Skyline continuing to get better, and like the fact that you swapping between the regions is maybe a big enough barrier that kind of creates the roster stability in each region, but otherwise it's like so hard to be 2nd through 5th best in a region and just keep losing your players to the best.
I think until Blizzard puts, or it doesn't have to be Blizzard, it can be anyone, puts like a crap load of monetary compensation into the race to the point where players feel like they're able to stay with guilds and, you know, continue to compete. It just won't happen. I mean, I bet you could poll, if you polled the raiders in Echo, how many of them do, like, if you said to them, okay, how many of you would stay if there was, you know, no pay, no perks, none of this? How many? I mean, I can't give an exact answer because I don't know, but I can guarantee you that some people wouldn't stay, right? That's just how that is.
Especially like tier after tier, right? Of it's so much harder to stay in that kind of, like you're saying, right? Like you have to kind of put life on hold once or twice a year for Race to World First. So like anything changes in your life, that's over unless it's something that's like paying enough to make it still worth to do.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, it's just a huge sacrifice. Like people give up everything in their life to do this for however long it takes, you know, and like that just wears the guild. I totally get the strife that Pieces has gone through. You know, when you lose half your roster every now and then, that is just a huge blow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take away from Echo and Liquid, right? I mean, Echo and Liquid for tiers have been, like, they've been playing astoundingly well. I mean, you know, there's don't want to take anything away from them. But yeah, as I said, it's definitely something that matters, right? Is having conversation and support schemes and perks that go with, you know, not everyone is just in it to win. Not everyone is motivated just by winning the same thing that they've won twice already or 3 times already. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, obviously, like, Liquid came up at the time as like limit through the ranks of like before there was any of that monetary compensation really for anybody, right? And it was just like that pure desire to win. But now that we're in this world where there is like the monetary compensation that the top 2 guilds can offer you, right? And it's just like if you're in one of the guilds that's doing all of the same work, or not necessarily all the same work, but like a lot of work, right? And you're not getting that. It's, if you're the best player in that guild, right? Why wouldn't you take an offer to do the same thing and get paid?
Yeah, and you know, it's nothing against any guild, right? It's just, you know, you obviously want to be able to provide the best for your team. You know, it's you know, it's why we worked with HyperX, it's why we worked with SK. You know, we want to be able to like provide whatever we can to kind of support the team, right? And yeah, I mean, Limit was obviously in the position that before Complexity. When did Limit join Complexity?
It was Nihilotha, yeah.
Yeah.
It was either, yeah. I mean, you look at Aldir, right? They were in the same position, sort of, that we were, in the sense that they didn't have this wild back, and they were just a guild, a group of bros that are hanging out, trying to play the best they could, and you know, obviously they evolved. They got in at a good time, right? They got Complexity, and then now they have Liquid, and yeah. I mean, I hope in the future that we can see like a 5-horse race. Right now, in the current situation, it's not possible. Not possible at all. I mean, we even came pretty close this tier on Halandrus and Anduin. I mean, we were very close on Halandrus. And we killed the same day, and obviously there were nerfs, so it's a bit debatable. And you know, 50% on Anduin was pretty close, and then after that, it kind of fell off. I mean, there's definitely streaks where some guilds can compete, but yeah, I mean, Echo and Liquid are like far away, being realistic. So, but again, that comes back to, you know, like many things. So,
All right. Do we have any closing questions? Any either of you have anything you want to add or ask? Or...
Yeah, I don't remember when exactly, but people started streaming Race World first after what, Old Year, or was it before
Old Year.
that?
It was Old Year was the first year it was streamed. Alpha streamed it in like they streamed like World 4th or World 3rd kills in like Tumas Argyris
I remember
and
that. That's
right,
Argus,
yeah.
but not until like Old Year, basically.
Yeah.
So I guess that was maybe a little bit before your time, but I don't know if streaming really affected pieces back then, or like when did pieces start doing that? Do you remember?
Pieces' first streamed raid was Ashara, where we did Red Bull. And then Nyalotha, we didn't stream, I think. I don't think we streamed Nyalotha. And then Sire, also for Castle Nathria, we brought in sponsors, in HyperX, and then we started streaming. And, again, we didn't have any really big streamers or whatever, so it's not like there was a massive gain to streaming. Our biggest streamer in Castle Nathria, I think, was Andy. And even then, he wasn't like a massissive streamer, and there was only one person, so it would have only benefited like one.
Maybe
people. Sorry,
Joker.
Yeah, sorry, I was referring to Nyalotha. I'm not sure why I didn't say nothing.
Oh yeah.
But like, if you look at Nyalotha, Andy even joined Nyalotha. We didn't really have any streamers in Nyalotha at all, so we didn't really stream that raid. It wouldn't be beneficial to like anyone really. But yeah, Nathria, obviously we had like Joker, we had Andy, we had Wieldy who streamed a bit while ninjaing his loot and other bits and bobs. But
He would never do such a thing. I'm just talking about.
yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think streaming affects it that much.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe a broad question. Do you think it's sustainable, like the Race World first in general?
For who? Do you mean like for the top two teams?
For the
Sure.
guilds. For the guilds themselves.
For the top two, yes. For Liquid and Echo, I believe so. I think the race is going to continue to grow. The stats, have been wild on Twitch for the past few races and getting better. And I think Echo will, they've won twice in a row now. I think they'll probably pick up more and more sponsors as they go on, maybe. It's obviously harder for Echo being an EU org. EU doesn't quite have the consumers that NA has, so it's harder to get the same level of sponsorship and monetary compensation into the race. But I think it's still definitely something that is sustainable for a while. But it's not like, there's no raider in any guild, as far as I know, that's being paid like, a salary akin to something
like an LCS Pro, yeah.
There have been guilds that have bought players yet. I guess maybe there was that
I think there was actually one guild
in situation with Method from Liquid to Method, or from Limit to Method.
Yeah.
But
I was thinking about
Pop-Tart Corn Dog. Yeah, when we purchased a mage in Nyalotha.
Yeah.
Good purchase, good investment. Still with us to this day.
But, Asia is obviously a whole different thing. People were being paid like $3,000 a month to not do anything. I don't know. Like
they've skyrocketed though. Like if you look at the Sepulcher front page, right? Like there's a lot of Chinese guilds here, right? It's what 5 of the top 10 now guilds are Chinese. Like that's
the thing with Skyline is very interesting because it hasn't even really been spoken about that much. And I think it's because people, at the end of the day, they got third, right? They are deservedly the third. Regardless of what anyone said. But at some point, they're going to have to stop doing what they do, which is having people account share their characters overnight. Which is, this isn't like a controversial take or whatever, right? This is just like, while China and Asian guilds in general are definitely getting better, there's no denying that, and I wish the best for them. Turning up to the second day of Mythic with every single Mythic Plus item they could possibly want it's not really okay for competitive integrity.
There was the M
this is-
plus hack, right? The start a
Right,
group
so-
with the four other people,
this
right?
M plus hack. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, we did this last year, and it didn't work.
Oh.
Because we reported it. We tried it.
Interesting.
We tried it on EU servers, and we reported it to Blizzard, and it got fixed. I mean, supposedly there is the chance that, it still worked on the NetEase servers. Obviously NetEase run the servers in China, but they were doing these overnight, right?
Mhm.
I mean, even if they were doing a Mythic Plus hack, unless that the people were staying up 24 hours a day, every single day, then yeah, again, they definitely played well this. I mean, there's no denying that they did well, but yeah, I mean, and even if it was just a count share, it's still a count share, right?
Yeah, I mean, they kind of play by different rules. They've always kind of played by different rules. I mean, even look at the I think the Nathrius stuff. I think for a lot of people, they don't play by different rules in the sense of like the thing that people cite and that they're always wrong. They don't have different loot. They generally are, like you said, playing on the exact same servers, like server rules. I doubt that the Mythic Plus thing worked. I guess I don't know for sure, but I really doubt it. But in regards to account sharing, they are still back in 2013, whenever nobody cared.
Yeah, whenever Serenity killed Argus, what's the boss?
Star Augur. They would never do such a thing. They
With three of
with other people logged into other
Gamco
players'
was
accounts.
Gamco was playing 3 characters at once. Yeah,
That didn't happen.
Gamco is a beast. I mean, what can I say about that one? But yeah,
3
I mean, they are
keyboards.
definitely playing by old rules. But again, I don't want to take away from it because, like, regardless, they still obviously played well. I'm trying to make sure I don't sound like I'm only saying this because I'm sorry, because that's not the reason. If they had been second, it would have been even worse. Because
It's one of those things too that it's like super difficult, I think, for a guild to break into like that top 2 until they start almost making their own strategies. And like there's some copying that is shared between all of the top guilds in the top 5, and sometimes the guilds in the top 5 come up with their very own unique strategy, and it's like really, really good. But more often than not, like the guilds in that 3, 4, 5, 6 range will at least copy major portions of almost all the bosses. And it seems to me like Method and Skyline and those guilds need to get to that extra step where they're making their own strats.
Yeah, I agree with that. But as a caveat to that, I think that can cause problems. I think some people... I definitely think there's some guilds... I don't know how much this has happened in Echo, because obviously I've never raided there. I know it's happened in Pieces, where we've had our own strat, and we've seen how Liquid will do it on day 1. And we'll be like, maybe this will work. Maybe we just do that. When in reality, if we just stuck to how we wanted to do it, it would have been a lot better for us. Yeah, I definitely think there's a trap you can fall into where you copy when you probably shouldn't have.
I'm sure when you do that, stuff comes up all the time where you're like, oh, well, there's no way we would have thought to avoid this interaction of things happening if we did their strat, whereas you would have thought of that if you did your own strat.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. But yeah, I think, obviously, now everyone streams, being able to copy is obviously a very useful thing, but you still need to be able to, like, come up with your own stuff.
I mean, analysts this tier were being paid to literally watch streams and copy strats for like and have information on the other guild strategies going into it. Yeah,
I mean, that's just how it is, right? I stayed up in London. I synced my sleep schedule to Limits, so I would come into the studio in London at the same time as Limit, and I would watch their stream all day because 1 or 2 days they deleted their VODs. I would say that, and I would write timers on the Shara for 12 hours a day, and like write any changes they had down.
That's really
because that was the best way I could contribute to progress. I mean that's what analysts do now, right? I mean, I still have the sheet. I actually linked it to someone. Maybe actually, I won't do this. But on my YouTube account, right, I have about 50 9-minute polls directly like downloaded from Max's stream, just uploaded onto my YouTube of like their 30% pull, their 28% pull, their 27% pull, and then when Method overtook Liquid or Limit, I had like, okay, Method's 10% pull, Method's 5% pull, and that's analysts definitely. There's plenty of people now who are doing that. Analysts are basically paid to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but I definitely think it's something that I hope people don't forget to be good at. Is innovation and coming up with your own stuff, because you can't always rely on.
You can never win without doing that as well,
people.
right?
Yeah, you can't win by copying. It's not possible. That's not true. I mean, you probably could win if you were close and you copied a strat and then could execute it better. But niche.
But yeah, if
situation.
you did it like word for word from their strat, you probably couldn't do it quite as efficiently right off the bat. Totally get that.
All right. Well,
I've got one more for Mr. Bastu. What do you think would happen if Pieces was still around and Blizzard made good on their word of trying to bring back something like Master Loot, and if BOEs weren't a problem anymore? Like, what if both
if they
of those
bring back
things were
Master Loot? I'm gonna lie. If they bring back Master Loot, the Race War First guilds are fucked.
Yeah.
I mean, there is anyone who says otherwise just hasn't thought it through properly.
29 traders, one
because
main.
you will literally because you couldn't do that, because you would have to have someone. You would have to have one male person in the run, one leather person in the run, one cloth person in the run, and and so forth. But it's like you will have to have so many characters and so many. I mean, we're talking like 100 splits in Heroic Week or something. We talked about this the other day, and it would be unbelievably degenerate. And the problem with the Race War First skills is that we create our own problems. I mean, that's been a thing for a long time. I mean, I'm not sure if you watched the interview with Morgan Day, where I can't remember what he was referring to, but he said, we did something to make it better for the Race War First, for the top 1%. We made a change. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, it was a tradability of tier or something. It was something about tradability of tier, I think.
Yeah, and it's like, so they did this, but in reality, all that was going to happen is that you will just find the degenerate way to make it work.
That's true.
I mean, Blizzard know that now, though. I mean, this tier definitely solidified their opinion of trying to prohibit the Race War First guilds from doing degenerate stuff, just because the Race War First guilds will just do more degenerate things to counter that. So yeah, it's a bit rough.
All right. Well, I guess last question then is what's next for you? What's next for, I don't know if you know what's going on with other people in Pieces. Do you have plans to do anything? And if so, do you want to share them here, or if it's okay if you're taking some time, and if you ever send us a DM, we'll let people know where to find whatever you're doing next whenever you come up with whatever that'll be.
Well, so to be completely honest, I have three options. There's two guilds that I would consider doing stuff for, maybe, and then it's either that or just quit. No offense to anyone but the top two, but I don't really have interest, because I would have to find it worth it and have a realistic chance to win. Infinity and Instant Dollars. What guild do you in, Dratnos?
Pop-Tart Corn Dog. You come hang out at the Pop-Tart Corn Dog gaming rectangle.
Are you paying? No, I do that. I would like to go somewhere with. I know me and Lummel have talked.
I thought you wanted a chance of winning, though.
We blew our whole budget on a mage, man. We got nothing left.
The call dipping. I think he's got room in the budget for this.
Okay, yeah.
I think me and Lummel. It'd be cool if me and Lummel could go somewhere together. And that's not based off anything we've spoken about with orgs or anything. That's just I think we've had a few years of working together, and we work together pretty well now. Lummel is very much the strategic. Lummel comes up with all the strats for Pieces for years and years and years. I mean, Lummel's incredibly smart like that, and where Lummel likes the capability of organization and sheets and stuff like that, I have kind of filled that gap for him. But yeah, I mean, wherever I go, I'm sure I'll be happy. So yeah, hopefully I don't quit. But if I do quit, I'll just be, out playing TBC, maybe playing in some casual. Maybe I'll retire to Nerfed. I've heard Nerfed is the retirement home for Raiders.
True.
So,
It is. It is.
And I'm not sure Sense would allow me over there, but yeah, someone actually asked in chat if I would consider casting, and I don't really want to throw shade here, but
Wait a second.
I'm not a caster.
All right,
Feel free.
I'm ready.
Okay, I'm prepared.
considering if you compare the pay for a caster and a raider, I think maybe I would consider casting.
That's not shade. That's just smart.
Yeah, I mean,
You come hang out with us.
Yeah, casting looks like a pretty good hookup. Not gonna lie. Obviously, I sorted the production for pieces this tier, and I was like, "Whew, like that's a pretty good job, I mean, like maybe me and Frank will be a package deal. Me and Frank will go around all the Race to Our First broadcasts and cast together and hold hands. So, yeah,
All right,
maybe you'll see me doing that.
One
Best
last
of luck.
thing,
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
pieces
go on,
will
go on.
definitely be missed. I think that
Oh, yeah.
that probably comes from all three of us. Pieces dying is very unfortunate. Really sad situation, like a sad end to the tale of a guild that was, at least for me, always on the cusp of like about to break into the top two. It always felt like it was just like
I mean,
a
we
couple
tried our
different
best.
things could, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely very sad. Something I know you wrote in the notes before, and the question was about like whether it was a long time coming or it was out of nowhere. It was definitely something that was like fairly last minute, and it got to the point where it reached a tipping point, and then it all came tumbling down all in one go. It was it's super sad, and I've only spent 3 years of my life doing it, so it's not as much as someone like Limor who's been there for 12. I mean, it's a bit different because it was just a generic guild before then, but maybe one day, 10 years time, pieces will come back and pull the boss. I tried to convince Limor to make it a 2-day guild, but he said no. And maybe I can convince him
BFA
of that, but-
classic, not run it back.
Yeah,
You got
BFA
it.
Classic. And
yeah, in 10 years, that's where it'll be probably.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. But maybe I make a 2-day guild.
Mhm.
And maybe that's my new move, but we'll see.
You call it
I'm sure. I'm glad the
fragments.
pieces will be missed.
Yeah.
Fragments. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that would work actually. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad the pieces have been missed, and I mean the support for the past like few years has actually been really cool. As the
think-
underdog, everyone loves to support the underdog. So
Yeah, I feel like there's this like NAE rivalry, right? There's people that are rooting for Echo, and also people that like hate Echo, right? People that are rooting for Liquid and people that hate Liquid. But Pieces is just everybody loved Pieces, so definitely, definitely will be missed.
I will never forget you saying we had a 2% chance to win race to get world first.
I don't know when I said
I'll
that.
never forgive you for that.
Did we say that this tier? Did we say that last tier?
No, I think it was Carson Lathria.
Okay, well,
We had a pin in our Discord of Dratnos saying we had a 2% chance to win world first.
just egregious overestimate. I agree. Embarrassing.
Okay, relax now. I'm glad of all the friends I've had and met during pieces.
Yeah, it's
And,
always so
thanks for
sad
having me on, obviously. So
when like a guild goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we'll be back next week with a more standard episode with all the usual bits, the Patreon. Thanks to the patrons in general, but we'll do the names and stuff next week and the tips of the week and all that stuff. But we figured this interview should just stand by itself. So that's it. That's our show for this week. Bye, everybody.